David, thank you for inviting me into your office here today. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what brings you to the place you are today?
Okay, I'm a Corbin High School graduate, also a graduate of Eastern Kentucky University. Did master's work at Cumberland College, rank work at Union College, so I'm kind of a product of Southeastern Kentucky education. Worked for the Corbin City Schools for 18 years now, former social studies teacher, assistant principal, and then I'm currently the director of academic programs for the district.
Great. You also you're one of my students. In fact, you had this class, and as I recall, you're an outstanding student, and we're even trying to recruit you for a doctoral program. I'll be open about that. We'd like to see you in that one of these days, if that works out for you. Well, tell us a little bit about some of your experiences. Why do you like being an administrator, and what really draws you to the administrative realm?
I've enjoyed administration. It was one of those things that you thought maybe someday you would like to do. The opportunity actually presented itself much sooner in my career than I thought it would, and I ended up getting into administration while I was still coaching. Tried to do both of those jobs at the same time. It didn't work out as well as I thought it would. Had to make a very difficult decision to get out of coaching and teaching and get into administration on a full-time basis, and have never regretted that. It's more of a big picture kind of a job. I love implementing programs, designing programs, and I also love working with teachers as well. So it's been a good change for me, and I've been in administration now for, I guess, 12 years.
Well, this is a little off the specific topic here today. We're dealing with some issues from Lesson 2 for ADOL 630, which is the Introduction to Administration course. But how important is it to have good mentors along the way? It's
extremely important, and I've had a lot of good mentors, you being one of those. I had several good college professors who I could lean on and talk to from a standpoint of trust and knowing that you're going to get the right answer in a timely fashion. But I've also worked with Daryl Tremaine, who's certainly a mentor of mine. He was my principal when I was assistant principal, and Mr. McNeil is, in my opinion, one of the, if not the best superintendent in the state. He's very open-minded, and these folks allow you to experience leadership opportunities while you're working. So I feel like I've been mentored very well, but it's very important, and being able to do those kind of things before you actually jump into a job with both feet is very important.
Well, most of these students in this class are preparing for administrative certification. A lot of them will be seeking jobs as principals, and our topic here today is change. Of course, I always stress the fact that one of the good reasons to seek administration as a calling, I'll call it a calling, is because it puts you in the best position to implement some change. How do you feel about that?
Certainly it is. You know, every person in education, whether it be a teacher or an administrator or what level of administration you're at, is a change agent, or should be. Depending on where you work in the district you're in, you're allowed different levels of freedom, so to speak. But you do have a lot of opportunities in our district, I can speak of, certainly, to initiate change and to even tweak programs that are going on that you may have inherited. So it is certainly an opportunity to change.
Well, great. The question is this. This is what I specifically wanted to deal with today, and it comes right from our assignments for Lesson 2, and it's the third assignment. It reads like this: why are organizations and organizational cultures so resistant to change? That's question number 1. And then the question 2 is, what factors in a public school situation often prevent needed change from occurring? I kind of lead into this by saying that, and this might not be a good example, but Machiavelli, in his work The Prince, said there's nothing more difficult to implement or more perilous to administer than a change in the order of things. And I think he was right when he said that. But what is it about change that makes people so resistant?
Well, I think there's probably four main things that I think about when I you talk about making sustained, effective change, and there's some folks make change just for change's sake, and that very seldom works out. Occasionally you find the needle in the haystack, but generally speaking, what I have seen, both from a teacher and an administrative standpoint, and I've kind of got a different perspective since I've been over here at the board. I've been here for almost 2 years now, and looking at all the schools in general as opposed to just my school. But I guess the first detrimental factor to change would be a lack of effective communication. And I thought about this last night when you'd called, and to me that has shot down more good ideas and more good strategies than anything that I have ever seen. And I think that communication is from top to bottom, and also from organization to organization. So I guess you would say vertically as well as horizontally. Many times leaders, educational leaders in our district, and I being one of those, lack clarity in what we're actually trying to do. Our goals are not specific enough. I don't think our goals are always measurable, and I think at times we infer what we want to happen, and if we've got good people, a lot of times it does, or if they understand what we want, a lot of times it does. But many times it becomes a shot in the dark, kind of experience. I think the communication needs to be much more intentional, and the goals need to be much more measurable and attainable. There's something to be said for creating momentum, and small incremental steps in change I think is very important. You can't go in and change the world in one day, but you can change it over a course of time, so to speak. And I think we have seen that kind of success more recently in our district because we're doing a lot better job, school improvement planning, for example, in setting measurable goals and attainable goals, building momentum, and then being much more clear about what we're doing. Secondly, I would say this. I would say that, and again, my experience has been in Corbin City Schools, and so I'm speaking of myself primarily, but I think a lack of follow-through also inhibits change. We have a lot of great ideas and a lot of great strategies and well-thought-out plans, and then for some reason life takes over, and we tend to step aside from those plans at times. We don't monitor them and evaluate them as effectively as we should. We don't measure the data to see if what we're doing is actually working. And I think follow through, and PD is a good analogy for that, professional development. We will have great professional, laser-like focused professional development on a need that we have in our district, and then fail to follow through with the proper kind of follow-up and initiatives for new teachers that we hire, folks that maybe weren't there, folks that aren't getting it exactly the way they need to. And so the lack of follow-through, I think, is also a change inhibitor, if you will. Very quickly, the last couple things I would say is I think leadership potential, and this is a cliche, clearly, every change agent that you talk to, every bit of research that you read about changing organizational structures and procedures will tell you that you need to try to foster and empower everybody at every level to be a leader. I don't think that always happens. We tend to not want to give up our power, and we're much like a classroom. You know, it's very similar to making the change from a student-centered classroom to a student-centered classroom. It's the same way. You have to develop leadership capabilities at every level. If you expect extraordinary measures, you have to go, or extraordinary results, you have to take extraordinary measures at times. And I think we don't do that maybe as often as we should. And the last thing that I would say, as far as Corbin is concerned, and again, that's the lens that I'm speaking from, but as far as Corbin is concerned, we do a good job of recognizing and celebrating. When we make a change and we do something that works, we do a good job of sharing that with everybody in the organization. We do a good job of celebrating the folks that are responsible for that, and we celebrate at all strata of the organization. It does us very little good to sit in the boardroom and celebrate good test scores, for example, among the hierarchy, if you will, and not take that celebration down to the folks who actually did the work in the classroom. So we do a good job of recognizing students, teachers, parents, and that kind of thing. And that is an area that we have done well at. So I think those four things mainly, I would lean heavily towards the communication probably as much as anything. But those four things I think would inhibit change from my experience.
Great. Well said, David. I really appreciate this, and on behalf of the students in the class, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning in your office. They'll probably be watching this any time of the day or night. But we do appreciate you, and thank you so much for letting me come by today.